So here's the next thing I want to do, next project, is it doesn't show up in this video very well, but it's kind of dark in here because that's the only light. Now I've switched that light out to be an LED bulb, but there is not another light in here. So when you're in here by yourself, there's things, a whole bunch of because I got this bar that we use as a rack. So if I've got things hanging from the bar, and it gets to a point where sometimes I can't really even see in here, especially if I get in here and I'm in front of the light. If the outside lights weren't on. Oop, I turned off the bathroom light. There we go. So that's just the bathroom light. And if I'm leaning over in front of the light, or if I'm leaning over the sink, it gets dark in the sink. All right, so I think that's a problem. And so I'm going to fix the problem by taking this new light, and I'm going to put it on the ceiling here somewhere. But before I do that, I'm going to solder up some additional length of wire to it so I can fish that through the ceiling and down the side of the cabinet here so I can get it to where the switch is and tie it into. Not sure what I'm going to do with it for a ground yet. I know there's a ground somewhere because I've got it up. I've got it in the cabinet in here. So I've got enough length of wire here to be able to handle whatever the situation is, and that also allows me to wire this up and put it in place and position it where I like how the light's shining down, and then go ahead and screw it into the ceiling and make the hole and all that. Well, the other way around, but you get the idea. So right now what I'm doing is I've got the soldering iron hot, and I'm going to solder this up. And rather than force you to watch me burn myself on a soldering iron, not that I do it all that often, I'm going to put this on pause, and we'll come back after I've accomplished a few things. Show you some more parts of this process. Okay, and something that's important to note is that in RV auto systems, white is always ground. Usually you'd look at white and black wires and think, oh, that's positive and the black is negative. But no, in fact, white is always ground. The yellow wires are the non-ground, B plus or some switched signal. So I don't happen to have yellow wire on me, but I've got red wire, so I'm attached red to black, which is normally a no-no. You're going to short the battery out, but in this case is actually the correct way this is wired. I already tested to make sure it would light up, and in fact I didn't have to connect the white to ground to get it to light. LEDs are particular about the voltage direction as opposed to an incandescent that wouldn't care. Okay, so back to the bathroom. I've got the bathroom light on. I've got this on an extension and wired up, and it works. That's really bright. And if I stick it up against the ceiling, I can see how it really does let you see into the sink. That's a significant difference, especially if I come over here and stand in front of the other light, like I was doing before, which gets that to be a little bit dimmer. I turn this light on, and it's nice and bright. So it's just going to be a matter of figuring out exactly where I want to place this. I don't think I want it here, because then it's going to shine in your face. So I definitely want it on the roof. And then the question is, do I put it right up in the corner? Do I bring it out some? Which is what's going to give me a better lighting situation. Don't know. I'll play with that for a little bit, and then I'll poke a hole and get this strung up. Okay, so I decided where I'm going to put this light, which is right here, dead center over the sink. I think that's going to work best. So I need to put a hole through the ceiling. I put a mark here. You can't see it on the film, I think. The hole is just to get the wires fished through. And I've got the biggest bit I got on board, short of using one of those hole saws or a Forstner or something. Alright, I'm through the cardboard. And yeah, I'm through. I don't know what that is. I have to grab the inspection camera and find out. Alright, so that should work. Next trick is going to be fishing the wire through there and coming out on the other side. Yep. Okay, and I've cleared out enough of the cabinet over the kitchen that I can open up this side panel. I've been in here in the past doing things, including installing this light on a switch that shuts off when the door closes. It's attached to the actually it's on its own switch right now, but I'm going to be moving it down to the kitchen switch. And in theory, yeah, there's a gap here. You can see what I'm doing. There's a gap here around the pipe. In theory, I should be able to fish something through and catch it from the other hole to run the cables. So that's my next challenge. Okay, so after some considerable work, I managed to get the fishing cord here to go through from one end to the other. A little tricky, but managed to catch it. I ended up pulling it through over along this corner rather than along where the pipe comes down because of the spur that comes through here. This was the only gap I could get through. So now I'm going to attach the wires from the light to that and pray it doesn't come loose as I pull it through. Okay, I've managed to get the wires fished through, and I've pulled the switch. This is the bathroom switch. Pulled the switch out, and what I need to do is determine which one of these two wires going to the switch. They're both yellow because one of them's 12 volts and one of them's the power going to the light itself. So if I pull them off, which is itself tricky, I guess. Let's see here. Multi-tool to the rescue. There we go. So if I pull these off, one of these will have 12 volts and one of them won't. And I want to connect it to the one that doesn't, of course. So that's not registering voltage. Hang on. Oh, I'm in the wrong scale. Must be something wrong. Oh, I'm in AC instead of DC. There we go. That's why it peaked and then disappeared. Alright, 20 volt scale DC. You can't see the meter, so I'll turn it this way. There. And if I connect to this one, I get 12.8 volts. And if I connect to the other one, I get 0. So, I'm going to mark the one that is not 12 volts by putting a knot in it. That's not my 12 volts, so that's the wire I want to connect to. Just so I don't get lost while I'm messing with this. And then I've got this handy dandy kit that I picked up. It's the first time I'm going to be using them, actually. These are wire splices. One goes over the wire, and then the other one has a spade connector that pushes in and provides a connection. So it's basically clamp around the wire, and then the other one gives you the connection to it. So you can plug in a wire without having to onto an existing wire without having to cut it. Now let's see, what is the AWG on this wire? Should tell me somewhere. Come on. Here it is. Of course, it's in my knot. Oh, there it was. Moisture resistant. No, AW1. Oh, come on, where's the stupid AWG number? It's got to be printed on here somewhere. Oh, right at the beginning, 14 AWG. Okay. They're not back in there. So, 14, according to this, is supposed to be the blue connector. So, we will clamp a blue connector over it. I imagine the spades don't matter. Oopsie. So this one gets maybe there it goes. I could feel it. Yep. I could feel it sinking in. There we are. That seems to have done. So now, if I take my, not the ground, but the power feed wire, and I strip this back. So this is my positive. Oh. That'll work. And crimp this into here, very nice. Now, I, as a habit, always solder my connections. That actually looks like it's holding pretty good. Alright, now I'm going to also, so I can tell that it's working, strip my ground wire back. And go ahead and connect it into a temporary ground I happen to have over here, just so that I can test to see if this works. Go ahead and put the positive 12 back on the switch. Plug this in here. Oh, they didn't go in the... Huh? Oh. I got it crooked when I crimped on it. There we go. That goes in there. So I've made a T connection, basically. And then this can go on here. And I switch the light on, and I probably didn't leave the switch on. Nope, that didn't work. Alright, what's wrong? Now we got to diagnose what's wrong. Something didn't work. I don't know what yet. Well, maybe I didn't get that plugged in right. Ah, that's what it was. I didn't get it plugged in right. Dang, that light is bright. All right, so we've proven that works, and I will button this up, put all the wires in where they're supposed to be, and go ahead and attach the light to the ceiling. Okay, we're recording. So, got everything wired up. It turns on and off nicely. It also has its own switch on it, which just turns off this one light. Not sure I'm actually going to make use of that, but whatever. I'll orient that towards the face, so it's easier to get to, towards the door. So, last step is to go ahead and stick this in place. Now the unit came with, fished up there. The unit came with, let's get the cover off here. Apparently only 3 little screws. That's what I found. But I think they got much bite. But we're going to start with this, and then just because this is in a water-prone area, lots of humidity, I'm going to go ahead and put some caulk on the ceiling around the hole, so that I've got a less chance of any humidity getting up and like rusting out wiring or whatever. I don't know. I just don't want it to be a problem. So there you go. Get that all in. Switch where I want the switch, and you know that caulk is kind of already stuck it in place. Between the caulk and the screws, I think we're good this done. So put some screws in. Yeah, if I do every other hole, I will have used the 3 screws. I'd say that's attached. The light goes on and off. Put the ring back on it. Done. There you go. New light in the bathroom. Only major pain on this project was fishing the wire through. Of course, I had already done some work in the above the kitchen cabinet, above the kitchen sink, the cabinet above the kitchen sink, putting in an extra light. So I already had a ground wire up there where I knew where it was. So it was easy for me to use those same pinchy connectors to tap onto that. So basically, tapped the positive side at the switch, measuring it to make sure which one didn't have voltage, that's the switched side, and then bringing that to the light, and then the ground return comes back to a ground that I had found previously. It's the same ground used for the rest of the lighting over the sink, over the kitchen sink. So done. If anything, I think I want to put a bit brighter bulb, or maybe even this same kind of fixture in replacement of the other one, just to make it as bright too, because that's a huge improvement. Now I can see all the dirt on my counter in my sink. All right. Anyway,
that project is complete.
Yay.